Okay, I want to get into a few more riders and I want to revisit the own occupation rider because I was at a talk, I was giving a kind of crash finance course for the radiology residents at Queen's. This was recently at
Nice.
their half day, and we brought up disability insurance. We started talking about riders, especially own occupation, and the group was very divided. And so maybe just remind us, Kristen, what exactly does this rider entail, and who, in your opinion, usually benefits from it?
Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna say is that the beauty of own occupation is it's just an
Mhm.
extra benefit. If you
Yeah.
choose not to have it, it is not a deal breaker. It does not completely affect your ability to claim. A lot of
Hmm.
people get confused with what own occupation means and what it does for a policy. So the reason why it's an addition, that it's a rider, is because it gives you that flexibility to line it up with what your career looks like.
Hmm.
So own occupation in its simplest form, it means that if you're unable to perform the essential duties of your job as a physician, and you are choosing to retrain in a completely different field, then your disability benefit is going to continue to pay you at the maximum amount in addition to any new income that you are making in your new job. So I
Hmm.
always use the example of you have a high level surgeon who can no longer perform a surgery due to tremor, let's say, in their wrists, in their hands. And because of that, now they're like, okay, I'm early in my career. I don't want to sit around and do nothing. I
Hmm.
want to do something with my life. So they become a real estate agent. Well, the income that they generate as a real estate agent is going to be paid in addition to, let's say, their $15,000 a month disability policy that they have. So both will now pay you together. The caveat to this definition of where people sort of become for or against it is that the
Hmm.
new job cannot have any of the same duties or qualifications as your old job. And so when you
Okay.
look at something like real estate, there is no need for this hand dexterity and mobility. You could do it with a tremor or not. And so there's really no correlation to the job duties of a physician and a real
Hmm.
estate agent. Where it starts to get gray, and where I usually recommend that people don't need it, is something like a family physician, a psychiatrist, where their duties are much more of like a traditional, like a desk-based style of practice, where they are, meeting with patients, light manipulation, they're having conversations, they're taking notes. It's going to be very difficult for them to find another job that doesn't have any of those duties. And so
Okay.
that's where the own occupation, although they might have it on their policy, the insurance company might say, well, no, unfortunately, we're not paying you under own occupation because the duties are quite similar between your two jobs. If
Okay,
you
that
don't
makes
have,
sense. Yeah. No, go ahead. I
I
interrupted
was
you
going to
there.
say, if you
Yeah.
don't have own occupation, what
Yeah.
people forget is the policy is still very favorable, because what it's going to do is it's going to say, and again, I think we'll touch on this as well. If you have one of the more robust contracts, so it always depends. So check your
Hmm.
contract before you listen to everything I say. But most of these contracts will say, okay, if you do transition to a new job and you don't have own occupation, but your new job is generating less income still than you were
Hmm.
making in your previous role, it's
Hmm.
going to top you up. It's going to still give you that difference so that your lifestyle and your income and all of that you've based your career off of and based your future off of is still status quo. So it's not because you start this new job now your disability cuts you off and you have nothing left because you don't have own occupation. It's
Yeah.
just not going to be paying you more than you were making before you were disabled.
Okay, gotcha. So now, selfish question for myself, the diagnostic radiologist, I spend 90% of my time sitting at a desk looking at pictures, 10% or less doing procedures. So for me, if I was to get another job, very likely it would be a desk job. So what I'm getting here is that people who spend the majority of their time maybe in front of a computer at a desk may not benefit from the own occupation rider. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that's where I
Yeah.
say a lot of the time, as residents and students who are buying this plan, if they don't know exactly what their career is going to look like, if they're going family
Hmm.
med psychiatry,
Hmm.
sure, let's not get ONOC. If you're concerned about what that day to day is going to look like, there's no harm in having own occupation, because it's very easy to remove things. It's much harder to add features. And so for
Hmm.
someone like yourself, yeah, when you get to a point where in your career and you're like, wait, when I look at my day to day, it's going to be very hard to find a job that doesn't use any of this. I'm going to get rid of own occupation. And it's very, very
Right.
simple to remove it. And that's the route I normally take. But you're spot on. For someone like yourself, it doesn't play a huge role, because what the insurance company is going to do is they're going to look at what the day before you were disabled, what were your duties? And if 90% of that was at a desk, then your new job can't have a desk component to
Right.
it. And in reality, if you are retraining into a new field, it's going to be something that's probably more desk based. It's not like you're going to be adding more labor and more if you have a disability now. And so the likelihood is you're either not going to retrain and you're just going to stay disabled, or you're going to retrain into something different but not be able to use that own occupation.